It's right there in front of us in broad daylight. And a lot of people won't listen to this. Crony capitalism is rife within Canada, and that currently defines Canada. And we're going to go into that and more in this video. And I warn you, it's probably going to frustrate you if you own a small business and you're watching this video. Crony capitalism, what is it? It's an economic system in which individuals and businesses with political connections and influence are favored as through tax breaks, grants, and other forms of government assistance in ways seen as suppressing open competition in a free market. We all know that's happening because Canada can't compete in a free market, so it has to do all these different things. And we're going to get into one story which really infuriated me this morning, to just see this type of stuff going on, and people won't even talk about this stuff. You know, this is an incredibly important story, incredibly important video. I doubt many people will actually watch this, but maybe I'll be surprised. But this is just showing you how corrupt the Canadian government is, how Canada is just a crony capitalist country, as we just defined there. And now we're going to see exactly that happening in Canada, and not just with Lululemon. So this just broke today. Lululemon promises 2,600 new jobs after exemption from some immigration rules. Okay. And then you can see the government guy there, and then the two, I guess, CEOs of Lululemon smiling. And why wouldn't they be after what just happened? Vancouver-based company Lululemon says it will expand its headquarters in the city and create 2,600 jobs over the next 5 years. The announcement comes months after the federal government granted the company the ability to hire foreign workers for certain highly skilled positions, including management jobs, software engineers, and computer technicians, without needing to apply for a labor market impact assessment. And a labor market impact assessment is basically an assessment that is done by the Canadian government, where they go into a company and you have to fill a certain criteria and prove that there aren't Canadians that can do that job. So why would a company not want to get a labor market impact assessment? Is because they know that there is Canadians that can do those jobs. But guess what? Those Canadians, they want to be paid at the prevailing wage for that job. Whereas if you can just import some poor people over who will take any kind of pay, it suppresses wages. And it's also just crony capitalism, because if you're a small business, and this is why it should frustrate you, you have to jump through the hoop of a labor market impact assessment if you want to hire an immigrant from a different country. So why should a company like Lululemon be exempt from that? That is the question, isn't it? And it's because they have political connections, political influence, and this is exactly what this is telling us. It's right there in front of us in broad daylight. And a lot of people won't listen to this. And it's not just this, as we'll go on to in a second. And you can see I'm frustrated by it because it's just ridiculous. It shows how broken this country really is and how broken the economy is. It fails to attract anything new without some sort of subsidies from the government. It's just absolutely insane. So Federal Innovation Minister, whatever his name is, says if Ottawa hadn't acted, the company's headquarters may have left Vancouver. Oh no, they may have left. Right, okay, they may have left, but why would have they left? Shouldn't you be looking at the labor market impact assessment for everybody? So it's a level playing field if that's the case of why they were going to leave, which it obviously was in this case, or that's what at least they're insinuating. The fact is, it's just that Canada can't compete as a free market. You know, maybe it's taxes. In a lot of cases, it is taxes. So then you got to ask the question, well, are the taxes too high? Or is there just too much red tape? Another different topic altogether, the amount of red tape businesses have to deal with. The competition laws, which protect Canadian interests by keeping prices high for Canadians, by stopping foreign companies coming in, operating companies within Canada, creating jobs because they're not Canadian owned. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And that just keeps prices high. That's the case for the airlines, and those rules and red tape were put in place by the airlines to protect affect them. So that's that. And then there's also this, which, you know, I didn't pick up and talk about when it happened, but now with the Lululemon on top of this, I feel like it just has to be talked about. Canada's billions to Volkswagen and Stellantis are irresponsible and inflationary. Okay, so let's see what's going on. You may have heard about this as well. So it's easy to see what Volkswagen and Stellantis get out of the billions in subsidies that Canada is dangling in front of them for domestic battery plants. Such subsidiaries clearly improve the company's returns on investment enough to attract these electric vehicle battery plants away from other jurisdictions such as the United States or Europe. It's harder to see what the Canadian and Ontario governments are going to get in return. And again, this was an instance they essentially had to drop the taxes. They had to say, you know what, we're going to give you all these tax subsidies if you come to Canada, because you wouldn't come here on your own without them, because you know, our free market system is completely broken. But because you're a large company, because you're going to contribute towards the economy with your jobs, we're going to drop the bars for you. That literally puts the middle finger up at small businesses, doesn't it? Because if you're a small business, what are the chances? Like, let's say you are trying to open your battery plant, your tiny battery plant within Canada. Are you going to get the same treatment as Volkswagen and Stellantis? Fuck no, are you going to get the same treatment as them? Because you don't have that political influence. You're not providing anything for the Canadian government to come out and say, we're saving these jobs. You know, we've got all these jobs that are coming. You're not going to create the headlines for them if it's just 10, 20 jobs. So they don't give a flying fuck about you. And this just shows how the government is completely corrupt and how we live in this crony capitalist society. It does infuriate me because this just shows how broken the economy is and how things are just broken beyond belief. And you have to offer all these different things. You have to dangle these carrots in order to get these companies to come, because they're not going to come on their own accord because of all the red tape, bureaucracy, taxes, and all the rest of it that the government has put in place. And then it goes on to say the government, they won't get a stake in the firm's profits. These are subsidies, not investments. Federal and provincial governments won't own a portion of the plants, and they will not share in the financial returns. Governments may capture some corporate income tax revenues, but as production subsidies get more generous, it's hard to see how the resulting tax revenues will offset the subsidies. That, again, is just showing you really what's going on there. The fact is they aren't getting anything from that. You know, this is an article that was actually really well written by the Globe and Mail, and it's true. You know, the governments aren't going to get anything out of that. Don't even get me started on fucking electric vehicles and battery plants and all this. It is literally just the new diesel. And what I mean by that is the diesel came out. It was all great. You know, diesel is cheaper. We're going to offer you incentives to get into these diesels because they're cleaner. And now we look back and it's like fucking diesels were the dirtiest thing ever. And it's the same with electric vehicles. That's the thing that people don't realize. They are dirty as fuck and they're expensive as fuck. If you actually do the maths on it, which people don't do, you realize it's way cheaper to own a gas car. And if you calculate it based on how most people are changing their cars, because most people are changing their cars like what, every 5 years? So they're never ever going to even break even on owning an electric vehicle. So it makes no sense for the cost benefit, and it also makes no sense for the green benefit either. It's just completely ridiculous. But I think, again, what this shows, guys, is how out of touch the government is with reality. And it drives me absolutely insane. But mark my words, electric vehicles, they will be the diesels of the future. Really, hydrogen is probably going to be the thing that comes out as the actual green alternative and something that's more sustainable than these electric vehicles, which is just complete nonsense. And I mean, I've just come back from England where there's a lot of these electric vehicles and it's just a joke. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, you might like that video there. You might also like that video there. Thank you so much for watching. Incredibly frustrated about what's going on with the government, but you know, it is what it is. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.